Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today on the channel we're going to put together a computer. Now I've been asked by one particular person, and he'll know who he is when he watches this video, to make a video on how to put one together. One that's detailed and easy for you to follow along. And it's a good idea, I think, because I have helped a couple of people so far over the phone build a PC. I wasn't there. I couldn't help troubleshoot certain things, but I was able to help as much as I possibly could. In the end, both of those guys have running computers, and they use them every day, and they both work quite well. But anyways, so today we're going to be doing an older system that I got here. This is a AM3 platform. It's going to be, this whole CPU is a FX 8320 on a Asus motherboard. And we got 16 gigs of G.Skill Ripjaws RAM. I don't know what the timings and stuff on that are, but that doesn't really matter. I got my tried and true Beast, an R9 290 Vapor X Edition. I love this card. Love this card. It's tried and true. Runs exactly the way I want it to run all the time. 240 Kingston SSD. And power supply. 600 watt EVGA. Non-modular. Has all the cords attached to it. The ketchup and mustard grossness. Now the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your CPU. In one of the corners, one of the four corners of your CPU, there's going to be a little triangle. In this case, it's right down here. I'll just get a quick video of that. You're going to want to match this triangle right here. Focus. Holy cow, focus. You're going to want to match this triangle right here up to, on this motherboard, this triangle right there. Now on Intel, it's a little bit different. Now I don't know about the new Intel CPUs because I don't have one. I have AMD stuff and I got some really old Intel stuff. But if you can see on here, there's two little chunks taken out of the CPU. And those fit in here and here. And so it only goes in one way. You can't flip it around. It just won't fit. So you gotta put it in there all nice. And see, it won't go in there. And then you close your latch. And away you go. So that's the difference. Anyways, back to the platter at hand. When you go to set one up, the first thing you need to do is, if you're a guy like me who doesn't have any fancy mod mats or stuff like that, the first thing you need to do is get yourself a box. So this isn't sitting on the table or on some carpet, so you don't short something out on your motherboard. With new motherboards, they've got better protections and stuff like that, but just set it up there, just for good measure. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your CPU and you put it in the socket. AMD has little pins on here. You need to do everything in your power not to bend those little pins. You do that, and honestly, you're kind of screwed. So you match your triangle up with your triangle on the motherboard. It's just going to fall into there. You can wiggle it around a little bit if you want to. Don't use pressure. You just want to make sure it still fall right on in there. You slide your little latch closed here, and it's now in place. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is install your RAM. Now, what people like to make a mistake on, put one stick here, if I can make it fit, there we go, and then they immediately put the next stick right beside it. The reason why you shouldn't do that is because you got dual channel on this motherboard. So this bank right here, these first two slots that are closest to the CPU, is one channel, and then the next two slots are another channel. So what you need to do is you need to choose the furthest away channel from your CPU. Slide your RAM in, push down until you hear those satisfying clicks. Grab your next set of RAM, stick of RAM, slide that into the next thing, and it should look just like so. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the original baby little tiny cooler that came with this CPU back on, and first we need to put some thermal paste on here. Now if you bought a new CPU, especially from AMD, I'm sure Intel's the same way, you don't have to put thermal paste on there because it will come pre-applied on the cooler. You just got to make sure that when you put your cooler on, that's where it's going to go, because you don't want to pull it back off, otherwise you'll have to pull all the paste back off and repaste it. But I have to paste this because it's, you know, been around. I've used it a bunch. There's a bunch of methods that everybody uses to put the paste onto the CPU. I personally am a fan of putting some paste on the CPU and then spreading around across the whole IHS integrated heat spreader, which is what that metal piece is that's over everything. I want full coverage, and I don't want to give it a chance to put a little pea-sized amount on there. I'm just going to make sure that it's going to cover it. That's what I want. And so I'm going to spread it out. All right, so now it's gonna look a little something like this once you get it all spread out. Mine's not particularly the best, but that's pretty much what you're gonna have it look like. You're gonna take your cooler. I don't like these coolers, but it is what it is. I will live with it. And there's a little latch here, and this latch goes on the end. This latch hooks underneath this little hook here, and there's another latch on the other side that's going to hook into right here. Goes like I'll push down a little bit, give it a little wiggle. Boom. That's in place. There it is. CPU, cooler, RAM. Right there. And then, up here, on the top of your motherboard, you're gonna have different fan headers. And each one's gonna say something. You just gotta find what it says. For example, this one says CHA, chassis fan. 2 is this one. And then the next one says CPU fan, which is the middle one. And then chassis fan 3, which is the far right one for you. And so, CPU fan obviously just goes right where the CPU fan goes. There's a little slots, they slide right in. It's pretty hard to mess this one up. Boom, that's it. All right, so it's basically built there. Easy money. Okay, so the next thing that you're gonna wanna do is put your graphics card on there. Now remember, there's gonna be these little things hanging off the side, so you're gonna have to make sure that it can hang off the side. And this is a big old monster of a graphics card, so it's kinda gonna be a bit wobbly, so just be careful. And it's just gonna slot right into place. And now we're just gonna hook up the power supply. So this is your 24 pin cable right here. It goes right here. And then, hold on here, let me find the CPU cable. There we go. You're gonna have a CPU cable. It's gonna say CPU on it. This one's your 24 pin. It's gonna, like in this case, it's got the 20. That's how many pins are here. And the 4 pins separate. So 24. Gonna need those. Your 20 pin goes right, or excuse me, your 24 pin goes right here. Like so. And your 8 pin connector or your CPU connectors. Bring this around here. Sits right here. Boom, just like that, perfect, away we go. Now you're gonna make sure you need to power up your graphics card if you have one. My graphics card uses 2 8-pin connectors. So we will plug those babies in. All right, so we're plugged in. Everything's good to go. Make sure that's off good. Good. Okay. Next thing you gotta do is we're gonna fire it up, and then we'll add the SSD. We'll add this here in a minute. This is like one of the last steps for the test bench. So the reason why you build it outside of the case is because we want to make sure that it works before you take all the time and effort to put it inside the case. All right, once you get your power supply plugged in, go ahead and kick your monitor on. Flip the power supply on your switch. Or flip the switch on your power supply. And now here's the part that people are scared of. Now you have to jump it. So all you're doing is you're touching a positive to a negative on your motherboard to simulate the power button that's gonna do that anyways on your computer. So down here, where you put all the I/O on, you're gonna find one that says power switch. And you just need to jump those 2 pieces. And if you're afraid to do that, then get yourself a computer, drag it over, hook that up so you can use the power button. All right, so we're going places. Oh goodness, it wants me to have a, it wants me to get a keyboard. So give me a second. Okay, all right, so got a keyboard now. We're gonna go right back to it. We're gonna jump it. Oh yeah, I shut it off. Okay, so now we're in. Easy money. I just wanted to thank you guys for watching these videos. It's satisfying to know that there's people who are watching, and I hope that you enjoy these videos that I'm going to make. This is going to be the part 1 to another 2-part series type of deal. I don't want to make a video longer than 15 or 20 minutes. Honestly, it's a little long for me at this point, but that's okay. Also, if you guys have any suggestions of stuff that you want to see, I will happily make a video about it when it comes to computer stuff. And that goes for video games as well. If you have any suggestions, just let me know. I'm going to be putting some Red Dead Redemption 2 on here shortly. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to say, again,
thanks for watching. And like this video if you like this content. I definitely will have more to come.
Now that you know it'll boot into BIOS, now we're going to put it in the PC case.